Okay, back in the studio, episode 5. Welcome,
Yes.
Zane, to your studio.
Yes, welcome me to my place of being. Welcome everyone.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for sticking around.
If you back and checking in on us again, thank you.
Yeah,
It's
good. So we just had our last episode with Matt Holden, my brother from the Shire, which was really cool.
Very cool.
I must say, I am very proud of that boy, man.
Absolutely.
I've seen his journey from Matt's a dreamer, bro. And he, since we were kids, he would dream of this and dream of that. And most of the times I'm like, dream on, bro. But it's been really, really cool to see this, like, just his dream come to life.
Yeah.
From starting in he was driving a school shuttle.
I kind of feel like you should have maybe made the thumbnail that said from busboy to business owner.
Okay.
I don't know.
Busboy to business owner.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really a busboy. He was more like an Uber driver.
Yeah.
For kids.
Exactly. But look, it sounds better.
It does.
Busboy.
But that would be a bit clickbaity though. But hey, whatever works. But he was probably the raddest, probably the most, the stories he told me about when he was driving kids around in the car is just ridiculous.
I'm sure.
The kids loved him. He was like...
I'm sure he learned...
Imagine driving in the car with this guy and you're like 7, 8, 9, 10 through to 16 or whatever, and this guy is just like... He's not your average Joe. And he's blaring Lady Gaga or something in the car and just having the fattest jaw. The kids loved him, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows a lot about a lot of families in Hillcrest.
He does. He's told me some wild stories.
Yeah, lovely, man.
Of some wild families.
Yeah. But it was super encouraging just to hear his story with the Shire and just how he's gone from being an employee to being owning the business and buying the business, and how he's navigating that. I think I'm super proud of him. Yeah. And go Maddie. It's wishing you all the best, and you definitely made a mark on our town. I mean, I must say that the episode, at the time of this recording, the episode's been out for two days, and there's been a really, really good reception. That's cool, man.
Of that episode, and like I've had quite a few DMs or quite a few messages come through just saying how much they love Matt, and it's very cool, man. It's really, really cool. Okay. That transition from employee to business owner is quite a big one. And it's been really cool to see him and actually walk alongside him, because, I've also probably around this much as, I'm just thinking, much the same time, I've gone from full-time employment to full-time business owner. And it's, man, it's not an easy transition, that.
I think it's really cool to also see, I think in business you do get different types of business owners. You get business owners who are passionate about business, and so it's like it doesn't really, like, what they do. It doesn't matter what they do. They just love business. They love kind of that journey, which is amazing. And I think there's so much to learn from those kind of guys.
Big time.
And then I think there are business owners like us and Maddie as well, where there's kind of more of a collision with our passion, and maybe some like a core gifting, and then we essentially are navigating what that looks like in the business realm, So it's really good to hear stories like Matt's, because I think he's got such a niche business that that really caters to a very specific group of people, and it's amazing how he's he's turned that and turning that into essentially, like he said, his and his dream job, essentially. I don't think any of us could have dreamt up a better job for Matt.
It's the perfect job. It's
absolutely, he's
created this reality, like that. The inside of that shop is literally the representation of the inside of his head.
Yeah.
And like whatever you see in there is what's going on in there, and it really is literally the outward expression of the internal state of who he is.
Yeah.
And highly creative, and just a really, really cool expression of him.
Yeah.
I often say to him, I've said to him things like, yes, the shop's cool, but his brand is not Harry Potter. His brand is not the Lord of the Rings or stuff, but the brand is him. Like people actually come to the shop, yes, for the Lord of the Rings and the Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah.
But the people and the interactions I've seen him have is people come to the shop for him.
Yeah.
Because Matt is the brand.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Dude, it's been really, really cool to see that thing grow and just expand. Yeah, man, and walk alongside him that journey of learning how to figure out on how to do business, because it's I think as a creative, I don't know if you've experienced this. I mean, you've been doing what? You've been in business for 10 years.
Yeah, around there. Yeah,
and it's. How have you found trying to make money off of the thing you love doing? Like, I believe we're all creative.
Yeah.
But, we're all creative, but we got to make money off of the things we love to do. And some people say, don't make your hobby or your passion your income, because then you just lose that spark.
Yeah.
So what have you? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? What have you? Learned over your decade of?
Yeah, I think like you said before, when people. People will gravitate towards people, and I think when that happens, essentially, it's quite special, because you could get you could have a brand or something that is big enough, but that doesn't have the people behind it, and maybe that the strength of the brand could kind of carry itself, if it's grown to that kind of space, but. To be honest, like any small business doesn't really have much of a brand. Like, anything that's had legacy or that's, so
it's
essentially.
not like a Nike or a McDonald's.
Exactly.
Or a Unilever.
Yeah, there's no weight behind that, and like actually a lot of the time the only ways those companies stand are, interaction with people, that a customer or client can really relate to, that they understand, that feels that person can bring value to what their needs are. I think I think for me, when I went into it, I had a good understanding of my makeup as a person and kind of my offering. And I am a creative person, so naturally my offering is is a creative one, and but I also just didn't box myself in. I think at that time, in trying to navigate the whole thing, and chatting to guys that were older than me, often the guys were like, understand who you are, what you have to offer, and also keep maybe like nimble on your feet. I don't think I said no too much. I kind of just went all in. And I think we all do that, and so I think as in the beginning, you grab onto kind of anything, and you figuring out yourself, as well as kind of figuring in your industry, figuring out actually the space that exists for you. And so yeah, I just I kind of had an attitude of just like going in and taking on, you know, whatever I could. And I wasn't too picky at first, you know. And then over the years, as you build reputation, you kind of start figuring actually kind of where, maybe your core offerings are.
Yeah.
And you can start kind of honing that down into saying, okay, well, this is what I do, you know. But even now, like 10 years down the line, there's still quite a broad nature of what I do. And I think for me, it has been like, I am a creative person. And so you often, you know, I think, and this is specifically for creative people, I think often you can be kind of put in a box and say, well, this is the type of creative person you are, you know. And I hate boxes. So
what's a box?
So I've tried to keep it quite
something to break.
I've always said like, well, I'm actually a creative person, and that creativity has an expression in multiple areas. You know, it doesn't have to be in this or that. And so I think, and that's tough to do because I think boxes are there to make people feel safe, like not only people coming to you, because they'll be like, okay, well, this is like I can put him in this box, and
this is how I can understand.
Yeah,
you.
like I can understand you, and like that's all you do.
Yeah.
But the reality is that well, for the likes of myself and any other highly creative person, you are, this is who you are, and just because a certain task exists doesn't mean that's the only application you can kind of give yourself to find expression and be of value to. So there has been, I think, I've had to find confidence in myself with that, and give myself the space to actually tackle like a wide nature of things, you know, and I think that over time, your colleagues, your industry starts acknowledging that. They start saying, okay, well, actually, you know, I can't box this person, you know, but there's massive value in the breadth of what we all do, and you know that Zayne could help with. Find solutions for. So it's been, I know it's been an interesting one for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I suppose I've gone through that period of kind of like figuring out who I am and what I have to offer. Yeah. I'm quite secure in that now, and so now it starts transitioning to, okay, well, I found myself over the last couple of years thinking, okay, well, like actually on the business end of this, actually, how do I start looking at my processes? I start looking at my time, my allocation of resources to projects, all those kind of things, you know. So it's all the mechanics behind business now, you know, and yeah, so that's been a shift for me over the, you know, you kind of just hacking at it in the beginning, first couple of years.
Big time.
Yeah. But now it becomes a little bit more calculated, well, a lot more nuanced in terms of what you give yourself to, what you're willing to pursue, what you aren't willing to pursue. You start becoming a little bit more picky and niched in terms of what you do. So, yeah, it's there's so much to learn.
There is, right.
I'm really interested also to chat to the guys that who are on the other aspects or the other end of business where, you know, their talents really lie in business, you know. And I've got a couple mates like that are just unbelievable like entrepreneurs, and it's amazing when they put their hands to, and it could be a myriad of different things. It's not about what they do. It's just about, they've just got a really good sense of business. They've got a good sense of models that work, models that don't work. Some models of business that work for certain industries, but they don't necessarily work for other industries. And so it would be really cool. I'm pretty keen to get some of those guys on, because
add some value.
Yeah, there is that, you know, and I think for, you know, it is a tough space to be in when you're doing a business that's like full of very geared to your passion, you know, because I think the risk always there exists that when all the stress and all the struggles come or whatever, you know, your passions take a beating, essentially.
Yeah, they do.
You get to a place where you're like, oh, is it, you know, am I cut out for this, you know? So and I've found that, as certainly I'm also a musician, so I know that when I was going into things and I was thinking like, what do I do? I could have quite easily moved overseas and pursued that, I think, and I often look at, I kind of made quite a decisive choice at that point in time of positioning myself in a creative context. That was a little bit broader than maybe some of my really core giftings or my core passions. All those things have kind of carried on with me along, but they don't have the weight of the pressure of, you know, having to make money to pay the electricity bill, or, you know what I'm saying, you know.
Yeah,
so and I think that for me that's been helpful. It's kind of kept things in check. You know, because actually a lot of my job comes down to, it's more of like a canvas on which to kind of express my creativity, problem solve situations. I get to relate to a lot of people. I get to be outdoors a lot. And so those are all like key interests of mine that and touch points almost that are looked after by what I do, you know. So
that's cool, bro.
Yeah, it's a very cool, long-winded way around it, but I think it's
part of your story.
Yeah,
it's good. I think for myself, it's been, I think I'm about to cross over the 2-year mark. I've freelanced in the creative space for many years alongside being fully employed. So plus where I was fully employed, there was some kind of creative outlets that I was doing as well, but going into full business ownership, you know, being a business, I wouldn't call myself an entrepreneur, I'd call myself a business owner.
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting ride, bro, because so much, you know, creating videos and pouring yourself into this visual expression or the story that you're trying to tell is, and I think you'll relate to this as a creative, like when we're working on projects, we can't do anything. It's very hard to do something where you're not pouring yourself into it as a creative.
Yeah, you can't really, it's tough to detach.
Yeah, it's so hard to do that because what I'm creating is yes, it's for clients, but it's also my expression.
Yeah.
So when
you're inherently like tied to that project.
Yeah, and you are. And it's so, I think what I'm having to, or have had and still having to learn is to, as much as I can, pour myself into this thing while also remaining semi-disconnected and detached to it. Yeah. Because, you know, hopefully the clients come to me because they really like my style and they like me as a person, and the brand of me carries this thing through. But at the same time, it's like when a client turns around and says, I don't actually think I've really had that before, but I've had instances where they're like, oh no, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or maybe change this a little bit to that, and it's like, but I did that,
Yeah.
And it really is, I think, learning how to do that and still stay motivated to do the project.
Yeah.
I have found that pretty difficult in the past, and then also like the whole concept of, and this is something I feel very strongly about, is how much value us as creatives brings to the industries that we serve. So like, I personally feel, and I know a lot of other creative people out there in the creative field feels the same way, that we are often undervalued. And I think as creatives we are seen as a means to an end. And so like, for me to, I've really struggled with that, and trying to educate clients or bring them along on the journey while I'm going on a journey myself, to actually understand my true value.
Yeah.
That I don't just make videos or pretty pictures or do
You don't
great
just sell
sound.
your time.
I'm not selling time.
Yeah.
That we're bringing, and I know the same as for you, we're actually bringing value to a project that is way more than just a time-based thing. And that's some of the stuff I've just been like, I've been trying to figure out and sort out. And I know it's not just myself. I know it's actually an industry-wide thing where there is this shift of understanding of going from a purely what do you bring to the table to like, actually this is the value that I bring. And it's far more than just the couple of hours or couple of days we put into this work. And it's been, I think that's been a very interesting space to learn.
And it's amazing actually, like I love that synergy that happens when you get a client or a project and there is an acknowledgement of that value, because it just it really makes a difference in your kind of your ability to kind of really give what you have to a project, and I've always I've always said, like, if often these professional teams are put together to do certain tasks, and the projects that really there is a trust from the clients for that team to do what they need to do. It's in the best interest of the client, the project, and all the professionals, to deliver on a really good product. So it actually, there's and if you can get that right, and you can work with the right people, yes, you can have you can achieve so much. It's quite a powerful thing when a lot of creative people come together, especially in my industry. I work with teams of designers or teams of creatives, and it's very, very, I love those kind of projects, the ones that you are like hard sells and not really acknowledging, like you say, like a means to an end, like, this is a protocol, so I need someone like this. I understand that not every job is going to be this like hardy.
Completely.
So there are some very functional aspects of our jobs, and sorry for any business guys that are watching now that aren't in the creative world, because we're getting very niche now. I think I've lost my train of thought now, but we I don't know. I've obviously too many sips of whiskey.
I think you should have some more whiskey.
No, I was going to say something else about it.
Hey guys, I just wanted to pause here for a moment and thank you for your support and for your engagement thus far on our podcast. It's been a really amazing adventure, amazing opportunity to just share our stories, share our thoughts and our feelings with you guys. And I've been blown away by the support that we've had. And I wanted to just take this moment to say thank you and we really, really do appreciate it. I also wanted to ask one thing. If this podcast has, by any small chance, inspired you or encouraged you, or you've appreciated something that's been said or shared with on this podcast, Luke would love for you to take this moment. I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds just to either pause the podcast or keep it running in the background, just to go and subscribe or follow the podcast. So subscribe on YouTube or follow on your favorite podcast platform. And also just to maybe share it with one friend that you think could do with listening to this. One friend that you think or feel like could be inspired, or just have that extra little motivation just to pursue their dreams and pursue a business idea or something like that. We're all in this journey together, and it's not an easy one, but it can be fun, and it can be an absolute adventure. So why not do it together with each other and with us, and us with you. Okay, and thank you for that. We are going to go back to this episode. Client needs this. This is the purpose it needs to serve. This is the goal we need to reach. That's great. And love the creative process. Love pouring the time and the energy into that, and discovering the purpose behind this project, or the person, or the client, or the brand.
Yeah.
But the practical day-to-day running of a business.
Yeah.
That is like...
It's tough, man.
It's tough, bro. Like managing cash flow, managing calendar bookings, managing time when you're not trying to sell time, trying to, like, there's just so many things that you jump into this business thing and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that one. Oh, wait, I didn't think of that one. Oh, no, I didn't think of that one. And oh, sure, but I didn't think of this one. And I think just learning and figuring stuff out as we go, because I haven't had any, I don't think you haven't either, haven't had any formal business education, and don't have any formal business coaches or like mentors or like, so to figure that out has been a challenge, bro. It's been a real challenge. And
I think it's also a really healthy thing, to be honest.
Because it is.
I think if you are involved and you know that actually, this thing makes it or breaks it on the back of kind of your input, and then I don't know. I think that's a really that does affect your service to your clients. It affects the time that you put into your relationships. It becomes a lot more intentional, I think, than just having this kind of more corporate machine, that you're just a number. So I think, although it is scary, and we often talk about these things, but I think at the same time, I do also love the dynamic nature of starting and running a small business.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the process.
Absolutely,
even though at times it's 150% daunting, but it's like, it definitely checks all the variety boxes. But
exactly, you're not going to get bored anytime soon.
I'm not looking at it through a negative slant.
For sure.
It's like, it's just the reality. And I know there are so many people out there that are just trying to figure this thing out. And I think part of what we're wanting to do on this podcast is to just talk about the journey, and like I've got no problems being completely open about how I'm feeling about stuff, or we chat about where we struggle about things with things, because I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one trying to figure this thing out, and I think to create a space where we can freely talk about this stuff and build a community where this is the normal conversation. We're seeing the humans behind these businesses. And humans struggle with stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really cool to chat about it all and process that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's an adventure.
Yeah.
It really, really is an adventure.
It's awesome. And to be honest, I wouldn't change it for anything else,
completely.
I've worked a couple jobs and for wonderful people and for wonderful businesses. But I love the challenge of running my own business. I love the challenge of creating a future for myself. And I think there's the lack of ceiling in my life in terms of like what I can achieve or what I can go after. Like I take that as like a massive blessing actually to have, because I think a lot of people live in a space where they feel there is a ceiling over like what they can achieve. They might be in a circumstance where they don't feel like they could amount to maybe anything more, and in many ways feel trapped in that. And then like that's, and for me, that's not a great existence, And so I think to be in a space where you can kind of be a bit of a master of your destiny.
No, completely.
I think that's amazing, and I think that's it's an awesome privilege. It definitely comes. It comes with all its own costs. Absolutely. So, but I think for me they are totally worth it. If I have to, upskill myself and delve into areas that I'm not skilled at, and I have to find people to help me or navigate all that thing. I definitely for the freedom that and the challenge that we have as small business owners. I think like I wouldn't have it any other way, for sure. I love it. No, it's a huge privilege, eh?
No, it is.
Yeah.
And I really love meeting other small business owners.
Yeah.
Like guys who, for all you employed people out there, I love meeting you guys too.
Yeah.
But just being able to meet other people who are also working really hard at, there's no fallback.
Yeah.
And meeting people who are on the same boat and hearing their story of like what brought you to this place, what makes you tick, like what do you do, why do you do what you do, and that really excites me, man. It really, and especially in today's age where I think the world's shifting so rapidly, even if you're just talking purely from a marketing perspective, marketing is no more like TV adverts. Marketing, I was listening to some radio ads on the way.
What is marketing?
So we can get into that. But like listening to the radio and hearing adverts, I'm like, this is so outdated.
Yeah.
I listened to the radio for the first time in I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was like, wow, that feels like I've stepped 10 years into my past here.
Yeah.
And being a small business owner where we have this really rapidly shifting and changing environment of where actually content is your marketing. Like creating content is a huge thing, especially as a small business owner. And how accessible it is to reach hundreds of thousands of people with a minimal budget.
Yeah.
But we're still in this zone of having to change our understanding of it from marketing being newspaper adverts to actually this world lives and breathes and eats social media, and that's where the tension's at, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to see what people are doing and how they're shifting and how they're looking at this thing. And even, AI. Like, how does AI help us? What threats does it pose to us? In what ways can we benefit, and what ways do we need to look out? Like, so you see all these guys saying, no, they've made like $10,000 using GTP in 3 days or whatever it is, and you're like, okay, well, if it's real, cool. If it's not real, that's fine. But like, it's a massive mind shift.
Yeah.
It's a huge, huge paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And while you're trying to figure this business thing out, you're now having to rapidly change our understanding of what we already know and what we're trying to figure out, and you're changing it to try and figure out something new.
I kind of also in this wonder if, because of the bombardment of, what comes at us, through social channels or other media channels, if it's not going to further enforce kind of more traditional aspects of marketing, such as like back to a person, like, because I think, I think about, and the reason I said like, what is marketing? Because I think in what we deem as kind of modern marketing, like, I'm not the greatest engager at all.
No,
and look, and it's something that like I feel like there's definitely something I can learn and can give myself to there. But I know for myself, I've placed huge priority on making sure that that my clients get the best of me, my colleagues get the best of me, and I've seen in the last 10 years those have paid their dividends, and that and that aspect of like trying to like you're as good as your last job, essentially, so putting high priority on what I deliver, on communicating well with clients. Not to say that I've always done amazingly with that, but I know that they are huge priorities, and a huge focus, and so I know for myself, like referrals from existing clients, and like that's really how I've built. And so I think I have a sense that like social marketing, I think it's hugely important. I often say, like, I wonder what my business would look like if I really gave myself to that, because I don't know the other end of that story. I would probably have to scale what I'm doing and scale myself in many ways to maybe cater with the influx of kind of other business. But I know that the way that I've kind of gone about it has also niched my business into like I end up getting repeat business of the same type of stuff that I do, that I gravitate towards. And so that's been interesting, to almost like you kind of walking like a little bit of a parallel universe. I sometimes feel like a little bit old fuddy-duddy, because it's like I am running a business that's like purely like referral based, actually. 100%. I think, I suppose, and that's maybe the transition where you start getting to the space where you're saying, okay, well, like, I know what I do, I'm comfortable in who I am now. How do I really start giving time and efforts to the business end of this thing? And I suppose that's where those other things will start kicking in, and will actually force me into a space where I have to really start looking, because I'm only like, I am the funnel, So I would, in that space with an influx of additional work, which I believe I would get if I gave myself to that. It would force me into a space of being, okay, well, like, now how do I scale? Because so I think maybe my shift of mindset in the last year or so might, the coming years might look a little bit different, because I am going to be engaging more in that space, and so it kind of being put out to a broader market, you know. So it's an interesting one, man. I think you touched on like AR earlier on, and I've been kind of following this with much curiosity. I still, it in some ways it's like hugely exciting to see kind of the advancement of, especially for process. I think for me that's quite a cool thing to see that actually. There was something I was watching, and they asked an AI questions. They were like, I think they asked the functions of humans and AI, you know, and the AI's response was humans should do human things and AI should do AI things, you know.
Yeah.
And so in some ways I wonder if this is going to give people more space to be more human and less mechanical, because I think in many ways you know, we are machines. We're getting very deep now, but
but
we are. You know, I often look at kind of the toil of our work, and there's some very repeatable tasks and things that we are doing that are consuming our time, that stop us from actually doing what humans do. Yeah. You know, and humans are very social animals, and I think sometimes our work can really rob us from being human, you know, because we are intensely preoccupied with tasks, you know. It's a classic,
especially the mundane tasks.
Yeah, the mundane ones. Yeah, exactly. Or just being in that zone where it's just like you just, you know, your brain's processing a task the whole time, so you end up getting that space where, and we talked about it before, where it's like tough to sometimes pull yourself out of that, you know. But like, I wonder what a reality where you didn't get yourself so entrenched in your process that you actually were able to kind of step out of it easily, a little bit more a little easier. and maybe you know, AR took on some of those tasks that were, you know, more repeatable, kind of more
completely.
So I think, for me, that's where, that's something as I've kind of progressed with my business, I've tried to look at my process always and say, okay, well, like, how do I adjust things? I've tried to not be stuck in my ways of how I do things. I've tried to always be on the front foot when it comes to staying up to date with tech, with ways of kind of making my job and some of the tasks that I do.
So your tools. And
so I make sure that my systems and my tools are up to date, and I'm developing skill, you know. So if I don't have that skill, but I have a sense that something's going in a certain way, I try to give myself to that. And try not to be in that space where I think, well, I know it all, or I don't need this, you know. Yeah. Because I think if you always have an attitude of learning, it gets you really far. You know, you can.
I think so.
You can really benefit from a lot by keeping quite open-handed about what you know, or So
I think I think the prospect of the AI stuff both inspires and terrifies me.
Yeah.
But I do love, and I've actually been using quite a bit of the AI, or quite a bit of AI technology in terms of processes for work, and even for this podcast, to be completely open, is, you know, copywriting is not my strong point at all. But for me to grab the transcript of this video and throw it into ChatGTP and help create content out of that, using AI as a tool, not as and this is where I would say I would never want to hand my creativity over to or my ability to create over to a machine. But I will definitely I definitely have no problem getting a machine to help me in my creative process. Yeah. So like copywriting is not at all. I'm probably the world's worst copywriter. But to generate copy that is like way better than what I'd ever do in like seconds.
Yeah.
That for me is a very powerful, exciting thing. And it's not a crutch. It's a real, it really, really does help.
Yeah.
And I've actually found, just from firsthand experience doing that, I've found inspiration in like, hey, like I haven't thought of that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, a machine thought of it, but at the same time, it's like we draw inspiration from many things. We draw inspiration from books. We draw inspiration from nature or like another picture.
I think original thought's always there though as well, because you kind of are inputting into these things. And so, you know, I often find that those... that kind of AI, it just gives good perspective almost more than anything, because it's like I actually used it the other day. It was a long week and there was like a lot of creative work, and I was actually quite exhausted at the end of the week, and I had to put out some pitches for a couple new jobs, and I kind of knew what I needed to say and what I needed to say, but I just wasn't. I was kind of just depleted creatively to properly execute something, and so I drafted something, popped it in, and then just guided the AI.
Yeah.
In terms of delivering in this, and I must say it was helpful.
Yeah.
I think it came across the original. Like I said, the original intent was there from me.
Yeah.
But it did give me some perspective that in the moment I was battling to kind of put together, and so I think things like that are incredible.
I think we're very quick to cast the negative on stuff. And I think a lot of that comes from a basis of fear. Fear of, losing work or losing a job, or what negative implication is there. But I think in the end, when we use these things as a tool and as a way to aid us, and actually these tools will can help us in like be inspired to create new jobs, new different types of workflows. I mean, if you look 20 years back, no one knew or even had on their radar what a social media manager would be.
Yeah.
Like, what is a content creator? What is a 3D rendering artist? What is a CGI artist? What is what are all these things that we so commonly understand and know?
Yeah.
That didn't exist 20 to 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it's a natural human thing to fear stuff that we don't understand and we don't know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's be aware of that fear, but not let it drive us away from this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I'm like, there's some really, really great resources out there shedding light on both the positives and the negatives. And I think we just got to navigate it carefully and in wisdom, and not lose our humanity to the thing.
Well, and once again, I come back to that thing of like, I wonder if it's actually going to place greater value on human nature.
I think so.
And our human interactions, because I think the more of these very mundane processes that are automated or are taken care of without any human interaction, I think it is going to create a void in certain areas where people really long or need that interaction in another space. And so maybe it could actually kind of awaken people's value of each other. And they might have limited time in certain areas, but then really value that time in others, So I don't know. I feel very old and I'm not old,
no.
But I feel like things are changing at the rate. Like this last week, I think Adobe released their AR program. NVIDIA also released theirs, and so it's like these massive tech companies are like literally within a week or two. The last 2 weeks have actually been quite important for that. You look at, I watched the launch of the new
the new Canva.
The new Canva, like what that's doing for marketers and for people in the marketing space and social media and anyone that has to put together presentations or the tools that are available are incredible. And I'm looking at this going, it's actually,
it's crazy, bro.
It is.
It's crazy powerful.
It's really, really crazy.
It's actually quite exciting.
Yeah. So I think it's going to give a lot of people kind of entry into doing things, but I think the people who are leaders in what they do or are like highly skilled or highly creative in their areas of expertise, I think will still shine, because I think we've probably seen it in the music industry as well, there was a very tight gateway of, if you think of who you heard on the radio 20 years ago, compared to kind of the vast amount of artists that you have at your disposal now, you still have to really dig through a lot of crap before you find gold, and so necessarily a very open gateway doesn't necessarily mean you're just going to get a whole bunch of better.
But what it is going to do is it's going to force us to become better, and to like refine our, even just like refining our creative approaches to solutions, like something I often tell my clients is anyone can go shoot a video. You just whip out your phone and your phone has better hardware capability than what Hollywood had 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
On you think of these incredible films, iconic films.
Yeah.
Like their tech technically was worse than our cell phone. Like this thing we carry around with us in our pocket.
Yeah.
And so anyone can go and make a video. Anyone can. I can go into Adobe Premiere and drop something in there and get the computer program to create a timeline for me, and it'll edit its own video. But not everyone can do what I do. Not everyone can go beyond just the putting of pictures and the task and the operations of it. Like there's the strategy behind it.
The expression part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and expression, the creative expression, your unique flair. But there's also there's the strategic creative. There's the discovery. There's a whole lot of stuff that, just because the field has been broadened in terms of what you can do, doesn't mean that.
I think it just, what all these things will do will remove the boundaries that have maybe existed previously in kind of people getting involved,
Yeah.
So, which I think
makes things accessible.
It's a lot more accessible, I think, and I think that is a great thing, because I think it's tough to see a talented person being held back by their tools, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like and sometimes those things can become obstacles, and so I don't know, we'll see where it ends up.
By no means professionals in that space.
Jeez, no. I'm just kind of sitting back and watching this all, and you know, there is crossover in terms of what we all do.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to think, well, like, how does this impact on me? You know, how could this assist my process?
Yeah.
What I do, you know, could this give me, you know, and maybe it is. Maybe it's that thing of we were talking about earlier, where it's, you know, you are having to juggle all these different balls, and some of those things you're not really they're not your core gifting, or they're not the things that you do really well, and so maybe there's tools in those spaces that can actually really help you and give you more time to give yourself to what you are really talented at, or
what, exactly,
you know,
like copywriting. I'm useless at it. Why not use a tool that's really good?
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, there is a lot of fear out there, I think, for guys. I think a lot of people are asking these questions. I read the comment sections of a lot of these AI videos. There's a lot of people, you know, concerned about their jobs, about so.
But I mean, humanity bro, look back over the last hundreds of years.
Yeah.
New technology comes, you know, we move from stone to iron.
Absolutely.
We reinvent ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it happens over and over again, and there will always be the fearmongers, and always be the haters, and always be the people who are inspired by it and captivated by it, and it's just such an interesting space to live through.
I think this is probably you could say I'm kind of I don't understand all of this, but at the same time, I think it's probably the first time in history where we've actually have like tech so accessible to every single person that can replace that person, you know?
Yeah.
And so we probably saw it in the industrial age, you know, where machines and factories kind of took over jobs, and so there was that kind of aspect. But this is all tech that everyone can access off their phone.
It actually creates a huge amount of opportunity for other people, everyone.
Yeah.
Huge amounts of people.
Yeah. But there is the unknown about, we don't actually know how this is going to affect anything. So it's
still early days, bro.
It's still early days.
I've got hope, man. I know. I mean, there are concerns on a more existential level, but you know, in the end, it's like, well, whatever happens, happens. But while it's going, you know, let's use these tools. Let's see what we can do. Let's push ourselves to the limits and extend ourselves and learn new things and enable other people to do stuff. And
I suppose the question is like, can the robot be turned off? Because
that is a very good question.
I'm just saying, that's
so there's some really helpful resources on that by a guy called Alex Friedman.
Okay.
He's actually often guests on the Joe Rogan show. The Joe Rogan
the
podcast.
Guy with the short black hair.
Yeah. So he's one of the guys who's very involved in the space, and he's got some very helpful. He's very self-aware, and like he's been part of these projects that create these things, and like he speaks a lot about the concerns and things to look out for, but also the massive opportunity, and and they speak about, you know, the safety of humanity around the stuff, and it's very interesting space.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, control what we can control and not worry about things that may or may not happen.
No, for sure.
So, yeah. Well, I think on that bombshell, we should probably. I think we've been going for a while. So
we've been going
but it was
quite a while. Yeah, it's been very cool.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks. Zeno, you got anything else you'd like to say? Or
no, man. Yeah.
No man, yeah. It's
no man, yeah.
Very Safa things to say, but no man, yeah.
No, have a good week, guys. Enjoy Easter weekend, and we will catch you in the weeks to come.
Yeah. Subscribe, like, share, follow, comment, all those wonderful, glorious things.
It would be really actually cool to hear people's comments on. I think we've gone through some interesting topics in this chat, and
let us know.
Let us know what you think about AR. What your thoughts are. If maybe you have some good insight into where it could be helpful for you, where maybe you're concerned about it. Yeah,
drop it in the comments.
Chuck it in there, and let's have a conversation. Yeah,
it'll be good.
Lovely.
I think have a good one, guys. Huge love, and sayonara, I think is the right word.
What word is that?
I think it's goodbye.
Okay, there you go. Cheers.
Cheers.